Hi everyone, welcome to After Class.
A podcast by two passionate adult ballerinas about all things adult ballet related.
And some random thoughts in between.
We're so glad you're here.
So grab your water bottle
or a cup of coffee
and join us for a quick chat after class. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of After Class. Hello, Hannah, how are you today?
Hello, I'm doing well. How are you?
Awesome, thank you. So today our episode, we're going to talk about the influence of social media and ballet when we are learning as an adult. Why do we think this is important? Well, we're going to talk about cons and pros of having this influence through the internet. And we're going to give you some tips that, from my point of view as a professional ballet teacher and dancer, and from Hannah's point of view of almost a professional adult dancer at this point, what are tips that you can use to make sure that the relationship that you have with the internet and adult dancers is actually the right one for you, and how to curate the information around you. So this episode, I hope you all like it. It's going to be very interesting. And by no means we are trying to discourage you for using social media. No, that's the opposite. We just want to make you feel safe with the information that is out there. We're going to try to help the best we can.
Yeah, I think this one is so important to talk about because the adult ballet community on Instagram just continues to grow, which is awesome. And I think that's one of the pros that we'll talk about. But also, like you mentioned, I think as with anything on the internet, there are also potential cons. So I tend to look at social media in ballet, like in relation to my own journey, is just that it's kind of like anything where it is what you make it. You know, I think social media can be a really toxic space, or it can be a really great uplifting and encouraging space. It kind of just depends on what you are taking from it and the way that you're curating who you follow and that type of thing. So
yeah, exactly. So I will say that from my point of view as a teacher, sometimes I'm really overwhelmed with the amount of information that is out there. And one of the cons, I will say that having that amount of information, so many new dancers, so many new teachers, it's hard for you to understand what is good, what is bad, and the in between of these two categories. And it's rough for you when you don't have the right information, or when you don't have the knowledge, or when you don't have the experience to actually decide what is good, what is bad, and what isn't. And it's not, oh, this is a good video and that's it. It's also, is it a good video for your level? Is it a good video for you? Because it could be good for someone else, but not for you at this point of life, at this point of your journey, right? So that I would say that is con number one.
yeah, it is a lot of information on the internet. And I think it can definitely, like you said, just be a lot to sort through. And especially when you're a beginner. And even, I mean, I feel like in a lot of ways, I still consider myself a beginner, but in a lot of ways, I guess I'm not. And it's like I still sometimes am confused by just the different approaches, the different techniques. It's like you can see one teacher say, this is a great exercise for this. And then 2 days later, you can see a different teacher post something that's like, do not do this. It doesn't work. And so I think even if you are a experienced dancer, it can be a lot of information to sort through. And so I agree that is definitely one of the cons. What do you think is another potential pitfall for social media?
I will say that by seeing these many dancers, these many teachers saying all the this and that, and you can do it, then you might feel yourself discouraged just by comparison. Like you might feel like, oh, if I cannot do a arabesque with that leg as high as they are doing it, they are adults. The teachers that teach adults say that I should be able to do it. I better don't keep doing ballet because I can't get there. So I would say that that's one of the other cons that come from that following on social media. How do you feel about that, Hannah? Like, what do you think about that point?
I think that's a really big one. I mean, I think that one applies to social media just in general. You know, it's so easy to see, and it's kind of that saying, social media tends to be the highlight reels of people's lives and experiences. It's not always the other side of that. And I think sometimes with ballet, it can also feel discouraging in that sometimes it's holding up an unrealistic standard. I think for me, I don't tend to feel discouraged in comparison to other adult dancers, but I think sometimes it can be discouraging more so in following professionals or even, following dancewear brands where they're showing a lot of the professional side and you're seeing these dancers that are just so incredible while you're like struggling to do a single pirouette.
It's
Like
true. It's true.
that's how I feel sometimes. So I think it can definitely feel defeating if you I don't know, like I said at the beginning, I think so much of it is what you make it, and it can definitely feel defeating if you're intaking certain accounts or you're spending maybe too much time looking at things. It can start to feel like what's even the
Yeah.
point of spending a few hours a week doing ballet if I'm never going to look like that. So I definitely think that that's a real that's a real struggle, I think, especially for adults. And I think especially too if you were someone who maybe had a dream to dance younger and you either stopped, because you had to for, maybe there was financial reasons when you were younger or you trained pre-professionally but then you weren't good enough to go professional, things like that, or you just always had a dream to dance and you didn't. I think that can sometimes be discouraging when you're seeing people just living that dream on social media and you're thinking like, man, I wish I could have done that. So,
Yeah, it's true. Let's go about the pros of having this super, I don't know, trend of ballet adult dancers on the internet. I love it so much. Like, that's one of the good sides of having that much information. Now, everyone knows that doing ballet as an adult is a reality, it's a possibility. It's a yes, it's a go for it. We can do it. That's something great. The community is growing. And we talked about it so many times. The adult community is so different from the young ballet dancers or dancers. The generations are different. The expectations, the support is so different from these two different age brackets, which I love about being an adult. Ballet is not about competition and looking over the shoulder. It's the opposite. Everyone is supporting, cheering up, and I love that about having that much content out there.
yeah, I agree. I think when it comes to the adult ballet community side, I think that from my experience, the pros really outweigh the cons. Like the amount of support and encouragement, like you said, is just so great when you are, especially too, I think if you're training primarily at home and maybe you don't have an in-person community, social media can be a great place to find community with other dancers. And I think, similar to what we were talking about under cons with there being a ton of information, that can definitely be a con because it can be very overwhelming. And I think the other side of the coin is that it can be a pro in that there's a lot of really great information on social media that years ago would have been inaccessible for most of us just because we don't live in the same state or the same country as these teachers and these different platforms that are putting out great information. And so the level of access it's given to top-notch teachers and even exposure to products, certain things that are
That's so
helpful.
much true.
Yeah, and so I think that's kind of the other side of it. It's like, yes, information overload is very real and it can be really difficult to wade through it all, but it can also be really great for having access.
Yeah, I love that the access to new, oh, not new products. They might have been there already, but we didn't know about them because you never gone to a ballet shop, you weren't into the ballet world, and now out of the sudden, it's right on your face, and you're like, oh, I can use some warmers, and it's not just for pretty. Putting some creams, using some products, or what about stretching?
Yeah.
So having all those little things, it's really great. Even you, Hannah, like right now, you're such an inspiration, which I love it.
Oh,
I love
thank
that.
you.
And I know that a lot of people for sure would be like, oh, that's right. Accounts
Yeah.
like Hannah, they just made the day brighter. Like it's not just, oh, I'm teaching you to do this or I'm doing that or I'm wearing that. It's just like showing that you can also have your day-to-day life and having that ballerina dream.
I think what you said earlier is such a valuable part of social media and ballet is that it's normalizing in a lot of ways adults doing ballet. And I think that I was thinking about this the other day and about how if my relationship to ballet or my journey with ballet would look different without social media because so much of the way that I felt empowered to continue and inspired to continue has been because of internet resources, like you and Catherine Morgan and Broche Ballet and the other adult dancers that are posting and sharing their journeys. I don't know if I would have dived so deeply into ballet and really just embracing the adult ballet journey if I hadn't been exposed to these other resources and people online that made me feel like this is a really cool thing and it's worth doing and you should pursue it if it's something that brings you joy. I think a lot of that encouragement has come from social media.
Yeah, that's so much true. Now, moving into what type of tips can we give everyone so they know how to search, how to actually curate the information that is out there and it fits them? I would say the technical part of it. So I would be more looking from the technical part of it. First, try to follow accounts that you can see they have somehow a certification or somehow a validation or of their knowledge. Because truly, if you're trying to find, let's say that you're trying to find the best ballet teacher ever, you should try to find someone that says in the description, graduated with this school, danced for these many years, or we will always have that in our description somehow. And then once you find that person, try to see who followed them or who this person is following. Because at least in my case, I follow Mr. Do, Catherine Morgan, Brush Ballet, adult dancers that I find, in my opinion, inspiring. So if you were to follow me, then look at who I'm following
Mhm.
and who is inspiring me to be a good teacher or a better teacher or a good representation for you. So that would be, oh, okay. If she as a teacher is following these other teachers, I should try to follow them as well. And from there, the information that comes to you will be as similar as possible.
Yeah, I think it's especially once you get into things. I mean, it's very important for ballet technique also, but I think especially too once you get into things like nutrition and cross training and things like that, it is so important to be very intentional about who you're following and following people that have the qualifications and the track record of experience because there's a lot of people online. I mean, we all know it's like anyone can create an Instagram account or a YouTube channel. I mean, literally anyone with an email address can create an Instagram or
So
a YouTube channel. And so you can have people, that don't have any sort of actual qualifications spouting off information that can sound really good. And that's not to say that there aren't people that don't have degrees and stuff that are very smart. I mean, there are tons of people that maybe don't have a college education or a master's degree, but are qualified in their own way. So I don't think that's necessarily all we mean is like, oh, they need to have a college degree to follow them. But it's that they have some demonstrated experience that they are qualified to be giving out the information that they're giving. Like I know, especially for me with nutrition, I'm very careful the kind of accounts that I follow. And I think another tip too is intentionally limiting the accounts that you follow in certain areas. Like I
yeah.
intentionally don't follow a ton of different like cross-training fitness accounts. I have one or two that, like you said, they kind of are in a similar wavelength. And I just choose to follow their content and to subscribe to what they're putting out. And I think that helps cut down some of the noise.
Yeah, even for you to create your own goals, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, it cuts down some of the noise and the overwhelm of feeling like because I actually at one point I was following more cross-training accounts and strength training accounts, and I was just like, "This is too much conflicting information." Like, I'm going to choose to follow the account, which primarily shout out, I follow Align Fitness by Allie because I actually work with her in person too. That's another great tip, I guess, is if you have people that you have actually worked with and
Yeah.
you know that they have helped you and that it's legit, just follow those people and don't worry about following 15 other accounts that are giving their opinion, their perspective, their take
Yeah.
on whatever is happening because it can really quickly become way too much.
Yeah, I think a way to recognize if this person works for you is give it a chance. Follow these two accounts which are similar. do their exercises and evaluate, assess whether you have seen an improvement. Do you like the way of doing the exercises? You don't like them? Now you know these two accounts don't fit you, so then go and follow two more. But if you follow 20 accounts at the same time, all different, you will never be able to pinpoint down like what actually works for you.
I agree. Any other tips for social media?
I will say, to me, very important is follow accounts that make you feel validated. Follow accounts that you have fun watching. Follow accounts that you can be like, oh, wow, she is a really lovely adult dancer. And every morning when I wake up or in the middle of a lunch break, when I open my Instagram, this is the kind of content that I want to see. If there is a content that you immediately feel like, yeah, pass by quick, because as soon as you spend more than 3 seconds, they're going to show you exactly the same type of information very soon. So if you're not interested, don't even give it a like. I'm sorry, but just keep moving. So if you make sure to decide what you want, what you have fun watching, just like those, follow those, and you will see how your Instagram will be exactly how you want it to be.
I think too, something that is maybe worth saying is sometimes the reason an account will make you feel discouraged about your own journey isn't even because the content they're putting out is negative. It's just that for you, for whatever reason, it's like a trigger for the comparison discouragement. And so I think sometimes like giving yourself permission to mute or unfollow even people that are nice. It's like it's not that you hate them or that their content is garbage. It's just like for whatever reason it makes you feel discouraged in your own journey, and so that's okay to mute people or to not follow them even if they're really great and they're putting out positive content. Like I've had to do that sometimes where for some reason like some particular person is just like, "Ooh, watching their stuff just makes me feel a little bit less than." And it's not because they're doing anything to make me feel that way. It's just that like, wow, that she has the exact body that I wish I had, or, whatever it is, and it just makes me feel a little icky. Just mute it.
That's so much true. I didn't even think from that point of view, but it's true. If you feel like for some reason it's triggering that comparison, definitely good tip. I will say one of my last tips probably is take a break if you feel like it's impacting your mindset or your day. Like for me, I love teaching ballet. I love talking on the podcast with Hannah. And I used to love sitting and editing on my YouTube videos, editing my Instagrams, having all this scheduling. And if everyone noticed on my Instagram at the moment, on my business ballet account, I'm not as active. And it isn't because I'm pregnant and I'm busy. And it's just somehow it's not feeling natural to me because somehow I don't know why or what. I just don't feel that I have to be on social media on my account at the moment. I will prefer just to slow down, take a break, sit back, and not don't push yourself to do something that you don't feel like. If you need a break, take a break.
Yeah, it's totally okay to take breaks. I think sometimes in our culture, it's such like a hustle mentality of that you always have to be going. And especially if it's an account that is linked to like trying to grow a business or a brand, I think it can really easily start to feel like, oh, if I take a break, I'm going to lose momentum and the algorithm's going to hate me and like I'm never going to get likes and I'm going to lose all my momentum. But I think that taking a break when you just are a little bit uninspired or you're just feeling like you need to focus on other things is definitely okay. And Instagram and TikTok and Facebook will still be there when you're ready to come back. I think too, before we wrap up, this is actually maybe my like number one tip is just to be online what you want to see. So like be the kindness that you want to see online. And I think if you're contributing to the space, the online space with adult dancers by being encouraging and positive, you're helping to build that community that's going to be welcoming for new people that want to share their journey. And I think that was so much a reason why I felt like I was ready to share my ballet journey online is because what I was seeing in following other people from my personal account, it was so positive and so encouraging that I was like, oh, this is a safe space for me to share my journey with other people. But it can only be like that if everyone is committed to being kind and being positive. So like if that's the kind of environment that you want to create and the kind of accounts that you want to follow, just make sure that you're being that. Go out of your way, take a couple extra seconds when someone posts a video of them practicing to say, hey, great job. That looks awesome. You know what I mean? I think being really intentional about commenting and being affirming, because it takes a lot to post videos of yourself dancing online.
Yeah, to open your stuff to everyone. Like it could be anyone watching you and you are actually very committed to it and it's putting yourself in a fragile position by doing that, right?
It's very vulnerable to post, especially when you're in process and you're a beginner, or even if you're not a beginner. It's never going to look perfect in ballet. So pretty much any ballet video that gets posted is not perfect because it's impossible to be perfect in ballet. So there's always something that someone could criticize or say.
100%.
Yeah, and especially about like people's bodies. One of the girls I follow online who's like amazing, she just posted that someone had like said something about her physical appearance. I was just like, oh, like that kind of stuff to me is just not okay. And I don't think anyone that's listening to this podcast is the type of person that would do that. I just think that the only way to combat that, because it does happen, is to flood the space with kindness.
Yeah, you can either follow Hannah's advice or you follow mine. You just let me know who was it and I'm going to write them a message like, who you think you are? And follow someone else and go away and I will cancel you, I will block you. So you can follow either advice, Hannah or mine.
You can just totally go off on somebody, which, to be honest, if you're leaving a comment like that, I kind of think that at that point you get what's coming to you if people want to go off on you. But I think, yeah, just making it a positive space.
Yeah, so really hope that you love this episode. And if you did so, please let us know because we do love nice comment. Even if you didn't like it, let us know too. And I will troll you down.
Yeah, we're out here for the negative comments. No, we appreciate feedback of all kinds as long as it's done in the spirit of kindness.
Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. And we will see you next time.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to After Class.
Join the community on YouTube and Instagram, or come dance with us, our weekly Zoom classes for adult ballerinas like you.
Links included in the episode description. Special thank you to our sponsors.
See you next time after class. Podcast produced by Mission Bridge Media.